So, welcome to this Channel Vision podcast. Once again, I'm Brady Hicks, and this is actually the second of a two-parter. We also recorded a CVTV with Richard Tubb earlier today. And right now, we're going to get a little more in depth. But for those who aren't familiar, Richard is one of the well-known experts within the global IT managed service provider community. He launched and sold his own MSP business before creating a leading MSP media and consulting practice. Richard helps IT business owners to take back control, freeing up their time, and building a business that can run without them. He's the author of the book, The IT Business Owner's Survival Guide, and the writer of the award-winning blog, Tubb Blog. That's TUBBLOG.co.uk. Richard, how you doing today?
Wonderful to see you again. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I feel like I've hardly missed you, you know? Well, we're here today, and for those who haven't checked out the CVTV, we're talking about the MSP's Guide to Modern Cloud Infrastructure. And that book was, of course, co-written by the researchers at Linode. If you could, just maybe expand a little bit on your background and what led to the creation of this ebook.
Sure. So I mentioned in the TV spot that we did that I used to run a managed service provider business, sold that sort of 11 years ago now. I'm feeling my age in the industry, I got to say, Brady. But talking of age, when it comes to the alternative cloud or the different providers in the space, I'm a huge champion of positive disruption in the industry. I think that if we've got positive disruption, not just disruption for the sake of it, but positive disruption, it enables the industry to mature. It enables opportunities to open up. And so when Linode approached me about being a part of this ebook, I jumped on the chance because the ebook is essentially an eye-opener for managed service provider businesses to say that, hey, the big three, the providers that everybody's already familiar with, they are not the only choices in this marketplace. And so MSPs owe it to themselves to be aware of all the different options that are out there for a multitude of reasons that I'm sure we'll cover. But really, for me, it was a golden opportunity to help MSPs realize, look, the big three are not the only providers out there. There's got to be other options.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, what kind of an active involvement did Linode take in this process?
Hey, I've got such a wonderful research team. I'm telling you, this was an absolute joy to work with. I've worked on books before that can feel like a little bit of a slog, but Tim and the team at Linode, just wonderful. They've done their research there. They've shared the research that's important, warts and all, I should say. This is not a whitewash. This is highlighting the things that work about the alternative cloud and things that don't so much. But the bottom line here is, for MSPs who go down the route of looking beyond the big three, there's a wealth of opportunity there. There's an opportunity for them to differentiate themselves from competitors. There's an opportunity for them to lower their cost of support. And I'm a big relationships guy. When I ran my MSP business, I liked building long-term relationships with vendors. I'm a big believer that in the channel as a whole, the MSP vendor relationship shouldn't be confrontational. It should be working in partnership. And this ebook highlights that it's not only a more fun way to do business by building partnerships with providers such as Linode, it's a more profitable way to do business because you've got less hoops to jump through. You can lower your cost of support. You get more timely support. Bottom line here, if you're managing your business by metrics, you're going to make more money by looking into the alternative cloud provider space.
Kind of diving into the content that you were just alluding to, if you could discuss maybe some of the growing competition for cloud services today and the concept of the alternative cloud for those who aren't familiar.
Yeah, so I think this has really accelerated during the pandemic. COVID-19 has caused a lot of disruption. And as I said, not all disruption is good, but COVID-19 has really forced a lot of businesses to say, okay, the infrastructure that we are working with at the moment, is it really fit for purpose? Now, any MSP listening to this will appreciate the frustration of having a conversation with their clients and saying, hey, there's this thing called the cloud. We think it's going to be a better fit for you for so many different reasons. And the clients turned around and said, yeah, we'll get around to that, or maybe in the future. COVID-19 hit. And if we rewind, if you remember back to March 2020, Brady, I call it the great working from home rush. But every MSP listening to this, every IT provider will remember back to March 2020 when everybody in the world and their dog picked up the phone and said to their IT provider, can you get us working from home? We need to be able to working from home. And I've got some hilarious stories from back at that time, hilarious in hindsight, I should say, not so much at the time. You know, some clients were getting, some MSPs were getting phone calls saying, you know, that cloud thing you were talking to us about, can you turn it on for us now? Because we need that. Like, you know, it's because it's that simple. But, you know, the big upside to this is the business world caught up. The business world realized that, you know, whilst there is a place for on-site solutions, and there always will be, there's the benefits of moving to the cloud are just immense. You know, lower cost of doing business, much more flexible, flexibility, all sorts of benefits that come from moving to the cloud. The challenge is that the IT providers, again, when it comes to moving their clients there, are perhaps not aware of all the options in the market. And there are many, many, not just the big three that we're used to. And so this ebook was around, you know, the idea of defining what the alternative cloud is. In other words, there's other options. It was also about helping MSPs to understand that, you know, when we talk about services like Microsoft 365 or hosted applications, that's not the be all and end all of the cloud. There is a wealth of opportunity to help your clients with their business processes, to help them streamline those processes, to help your clients reduce the cost of doing business, to do things faster, better, cheaper. And that is what the alternative cloud is there to do. It's just a myriad of opportunities. And in this ebook, we highlight dozens of them. And it's not just, hey, here's look what you can do. The Linode team have done a really good job of pulling out a number of case studies of MSPs and businesses that are doing this today. This is not something that's coming in the future. This is something that's here and now. And your MSP competitors, for any MSPs listening to this, your competitors are using this sort of stuff today. So you owe it to yourself to be aware of it.
I believe the words you used were a wealth and a myriad of opportunities.
Yeah.
A good part of the book actually talks about value points for the alternative cloud provider, things like learning curve, price, performance, stuff like that. How unique is the technology for these and other areas?
Yeah, there's a lot of innovation going on as well. And we talk about, again, I'm not beating up the big three here, but the big three bring a lot of this technology to the mainstream. But there are cutting edge companies like Linode doing things that are just incredible. You know, we talk about this a little bit in the ebook as well. But when you mention the minimal learning curve, one of the barriers to entry, I would say, for many MSPs is, look, they are not very time rich. You know, I can tell you this, having run an IT business myself, you are constantly running at full pace to keep your clients up to date, safe, secure, running their business without disruption. So there's not a lot of time here to research alternative options, let alone then say, right, we are going to move in our business in a different direction. So the minimal learning curve, you know, it's absolutely true here. Alternative cloud providers are providing core cloud services, virtual machine storage, things like that, that are easier to get on board, that are easier to deploy, that are easier to manage. And for me, that's one of the biggest benefits of the alternative cloud. And we highlight that in the ebook, and the Linode research team have done a fantastic job of highlighting what that means in pounds and pence or dollars and cents for the readers.
Yeah, very cool. How can the alternative cloud be useful in improving key performance indicators, you know, KPIs?
Oh, it's so much. In fact, this, for me, was one of my favorite parts of the ebook, how you can improve your KPIs, key performance indicators, with the alternative cloud. So for any MSP, any IT business listening to this, I hope, I would imagine that you already collect a number of different metrics that you sort of manage your business by, these key performance indicators. What I would say is some of the KPIs that we highlight in the book that make a significant difference to your business by working with alternative cloud providers. Near the top of that list would be churn rate. So for any MSP listening to this, you know, they know the pain of marketing, finding new clients, but then the hard job of keeping hold of those clients and the pain they experience, of churn rate when clients decide they're going to go somewhere else because they're not having their needs met. So churn rate, given how long you actually retain clients, the idea of the alternative cloud here, as we explained in the ebook, the churn rate for your business is going to be dramatically reduced by using alternative cloud options. There's a number of reasons why this is, but near the top of that list, I would say, is you get an opportunity to build a better relationship with the vendor that you're partnering with. So the big three that we've talked about, again, doing amazing work, but something they are not able to do very well is to replicate that small business way of doing business. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. That's an adage that I learned years ago and I think holds true. When you are working with a vendor who is in the alternative cloud space, they've got more time for you. They listen to what you've got to say. They are flexible. They can adapt their business to match your needs. Now, the big players, they get there, but it takes a lot longer for them to do. So in terms of churn rate that we talked about, I found that the research backed up what I always had a gut feeling about, which is if you are working with a vendor who provides you with better, more intimate, dare I say, technical support and consultancy, pre-sales support, post-sales support, it's going to enable you to pass that on to your clients and build a much more intimate and sticky relationship with your clients. Bottom line here is you're going to lose less clients by working with alternative cloud providers.
Okay, and I just want to highlight a couple other things from the book that were of interest. One in particular is the use case aspect, and you spend a little bit of time there talking about the use cases within the alternative cloud. How important is this diversity, would you say? And just talk about that a little bit.
Well, where we are, at the time of recording this, Brady, I think the number one thing that's on most MSPs' mind is security, cybersecurity. If you're not keeping your clients safe, you aren't going to keep your clients very long. So, we've got a whole section of the book of why the alternative cloud options, why modern cloud infrastructure is a much more secure option for you. So I'll throw that one out there because that it does need to be said, it's so important at the moment. But the use cases for some of the options that are available out there, data backup and recovery. So we talked about cybersecurity. Really, at the time of recording, we cannot talk about cybersecurity without accepting the fact that with the best will in the world, we are not going to be able to protect our clients from every emerging threat. With that being the case, if we accept that as a fact, then you've got to be looking at data backup and recovery. Belt and braces approach, if a threat gets through to your clients, even human error, something along those lines, then data backup and recovery gives you that safety net of saying, okay, something's happened that we didn't want to happen, but we have got really robust data backup here. We can recover the data. We can lower the mean time to recovery. We can get you, Mr. Client, Mr. Small Business, up and running faster than ever before. And that's the number one question that clients, I can tell you from experience, Brady, when I ran an MSP business, something went wrong. The number one thing that client asked was not what had gone wrong, but how quickly can we get back up and running again? Because at the end of the day, they hire you as an MSP to look after their IT so that they can get on with the important business of running their business. They couldn't really care less about the IT, the technology behind this. So I'd say data backup and recovery, really high on that list. We've got other great options, use cases that we feature in the ebook, such as managed data storage, managed application hosting, which is like a real growing market, highly resilient workloads, automated failover is another option there. There's lots of opportunity to speak to clients about, how important are these applications to you? What would happen if the application went down? So there's I use the word area, a myriad load of opportunities here to have conversations with clients about. And again, I would say security top of that list, lead with a security conversation, but then keep your ears open, listen to what your clients are telling you they might need. And this ebook hopefully will highlight some opportunities you've not thought about before.
You've also talked at length about a lot of the trends as we kind of move forward into 2022 and beyond. What's in store for this technology space, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, the really interesting thing is, I'm not going to gaze into my crystal ball here and say, hey, in a year's time, I know this is recorded, Brady, and I know people are going to listen and say you got it wrong. What I will say is I am fairly confident that the MSPs who work with alternative cloud providers are going to have a much better dialogue. They're going to have their needs heard and responded to. So something that's really impressed me about the Linode team is just how much they're invested in the MSP community. They are not there to say, hey, MSPs, here's what you need. We're going to sell it to you. They are there and listening. They are there in the communities, having the conversations and listening and observing, and then responding accordingly. So rather than say to you, hey, in 18 months, Brady, we're going to have this, I can just tell you that if you are an MSP listening today, you are working with a provider who you think you may be just a number to them, I would encourage you, go and investigate some of the alternative cloud providers out there, because they are listening to what you need and they are adapting their business accordingly. So I'm as excited as anyone, Brady, to see what happens next. I just know it's going to be real positive disruption because these players like Linode are listening to what the MSP community needs.
And it sounds like definitely positive disruption. What a great way to end it, Richard. I just want to, first of all, I want to say thank you for your time here today. It's really
my pleasure. I'm honored that you would ask me to chat with you. Thank you.
Of course. And I just want to give out a couple of links for people who are interested, including the actual link to the ebook itself, which is the MSP's Guide to Modern Cloud Infrastructure, co-written by Linode as well as Richard Tubb, who we had on the line here today. The website for that would be linode.com/channelvision. So you can go check it out right there, that special location. I also want to reference, of course, www.linode.com. We have Richard Tubb, the IT business growth expert. His blog is located at tubblog.UK. I believe I have that wrong, actually. It's tubblog.co.uk. So I fixed it for you right there. Anywhere else where people can follow you, Richard?
I've got my podcast as well. I'm not just a fan of this podcast. I am somebody who produces their own podcast as well. So Tubb Talk, the podcast for IT consultants, and we've got a video channel. Hey, Brady, I'll just say to people, if you're interested in following up, if you're interested in having a conversation with me, I'm real easy to find online. Just do a search for Richard Tubb, Tubb MSP. You will find me.
Very cool. You're definitely out there. And also, while you're online, don't forget to visit channelvisionmag.com. In the CVTV section under media, you can check out the earlier interview that Richard and I did, kind of exploring this topic as a base introduction. You also get to see his pretty face as well. And while you're on Channel Vision Mag, don't forget to check out all the other great stuff, the webinars, all the other CVTVs and podcasts that are available. Channelvisionmag.com. With CV Magazine, I'm Brady Hicks.